Welcome to week 1 of the NFL season. We are building our DraftKings fantasy football lineup. If you've never played DraftKings before, you have a roster of 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, a flex, tight end, and DST. You can see right here. No kickers, just the way I like it. DFS stands for Daily Fantasy Sports. So you build a lineup for the week or for a certain game. In our case here, we're building it for the Sunday slate of games, except for the Sunday night football game. So all the 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Pacific games, we are creating a lineup for those games with our choice of any player, and we enter into a contest with money on the line or not. And usually if you finish within the top 3 or so, you get money back for that contest. So this is going to be me building my lineup for the week, giving you my tips and my opinions on who should be in your lineup this week if you play DraftKings DFS. If you play FanDuel, they have different salaries for the players than DraftKings does. I prefer DraftKings. It's just what I've always used, and their salaries are usually cheaper than FanDuel. Don't know why. But you have $50,000 of salary. So, for example, if we add the highest salaried quarterback for the Sunday game, which is Jaden Daniels, that would be $7,000 of our $50,000 gone. So you kind of have to build this lineup strategically. Where do you want to spend all the big bucks? Where do you want to go with a cheaper guy? We're going to go through that together today, and then we will see how our lineup looks. Obviously, you want to build the best, well-rounded lineup. How I typically do these is I typically look for a cheap tight end. I look for a cheap defense that can put up some points. For flex, I usually look for a cheaper guy that can be involved. Now, it's week 1, so we don't really have the stats of how a team does against a certain position. Like, for example, here it says for Baker Mayfield that Atlanta is 30th in allowing fantasy points to the quarterback. That would mean 30th worst. So one of the league's worst at allowing fantasy points to quarterbacks, meaning they score a lot against them. Now, since it's week 1, a lot of turnover, a lot of change, we're not really sure how these defenses are going to play out. Who's going to allow points to running backs? Who's going to allow a lot of points to receivers? Who is not going to allow a ton of points to quarterbacks? So as the season goes on, making these lineups will be a little more strategically pointed in that direction of just playing the best matchups with the best price. So week 1, you kind of just want to fill it with as many studs as possible because those are the guys most likely to have a good game. So kicking it off, looking at quarterbacks here, quarterback is also something I don't like to spend up big on. My eye is on Kyler because the New Orleans matchup should be good. New Orleans defense doesn't project to do well, so Kyler could have a good game there. He's a rushing mobile quarterback. He looks Justin Fields, but that Pittsburgh defense, it looks like they should be good. You can take a shot on a Daniel Jones who runs. He has a rushing upside. Miami's defense doesn't project to be to do well. But I think I'm going to go Kyler here. I think I'm going to take Kyler for week 1, the rushing quarterback. You get that rushing baseline. He's 6,400, which is not a bad price at all. So that is Kyler into the lineup. Now we have 43,600 remaining of salary. Now, we just got news today that McCaffrey did not practice. I'm recording this on Friday. It'll get uploaded on Saturday. So this lineup will be my lineup barring anything changing. So if a player that's in my lineup randomly just doesn't play on Sunday, obviously I'll have to change that. But we did get news today, McCaffrey not practicing. Brian Robinson is the backup, the presumed backup. I know he just got there a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, however long. Guerendo has been there longer. I'm not sure if they go Guerendo, Robinson kind of committee there if McCaffrey is out, or they're just holding. Just a player not practicing on a Friday is not a good sign, especially for a guy like McCaffrey who has this huge injury history. Now we can spend up on running back and then get a cheaper one as our RB2, which is what I'd like to do. Again, running back is something I would play the matchups with, but we don't really have matchup data because it's week 1. Bijan with a top salary of 8K. McCaffrey I'm going to stay away from because he is, I guess, injured, didn't practice today. Achane, someone I like. He has the rushing work. They could involve Ollie Gordon. I know he's dealing with a bit of an injury as well, but it looks like here that he did practice today. We can click on him and see his notes here. So Achane does not have the injury designation for Sunday's game, which is a good sign. We know he's going to get targeted. He's going to catch a lot of passes. I'm liking the Achane ad here. And again, when we're building this lineup, we can kind of change things as we go, because we might go over on salary and we might have to change some positions away to save some salary to get more players in. Just looking here, Achane, a possibility for a spend up at running back at 6,900. Looking at the other guys, James Conner would be a good play at 6,100. But do I want to go Kyler and Conner? Not sure. I might change Kyler because this is presuming that the Cardinals are going to just win easy. And then Kyler won't have to do much. You know, like could be a first half. Kyler has 2 passing touchdowns and 100, 200 yards. And the second half, New Orleans just can't keep up. So they just run the ball the whole second half. And they mix in some rotational guys. Kenneth Walker looks like he could be a good play at 5,900. The San Francisco defense wasn't projected to do well either. You could slide into Brian Robinson. with the McCaffrey news. He's cheap at 5,800. He could get a bulk of the work. Tony Pollard against that Denver defense I don't like, but he's going to get all the work. They have no Tajay Spears. He's only 5,700. Jerome Ford I like a lot too, only 5,600. He should get a bulk of the work as well, and going against that Cincy defense, it doesn't project to be very good. Looking at our other guys here, Jaylen Warren could be a good play. He's projected to get a lot of the work. Looking at the rest here, I don't see anybody that jumps out to me. Maybe Eckler, who could get a lot of passing work at 4,800. And spending down on these guys would allow us to spend up at receiver. So I think I like the Jerome Ford, James Conner so far. James Conner is cheap at 6,100 and Jerome Ford is cheap at 5,600. So now 31,000 remaining at our salary. Now at 8,100, Jamar Chase play for week 1 would obviously be fantastic, but spending that much at receiver, it really limits you what you can do the rest of the way. A Jamar Chase play would be fun. You know, I think I'm going to do it. 8,100 is a lot, but it's Jamar Chase. Anywhere we can save at receiver here. Looking around, JSN is cheap at 5,800. That 49er defense, like I said, they don't project to do well. Jalen Waddle's cheap at a 5,700. A Marvin Harrison stack, but like I said, I might remove Kyler because I've got the James Conner here. Jameson Williams could be a good play. Deebo Samuel with Terry McLaurin coming back. Like Ted McMillan at only 5,200. Ted McMillan's going to be in our lineup. That is cheap. Only 5,200 for Ted McMillan. That is cheap, and that is someone who's going to get a lot of targets. I'm seeing this for the first time. Adam Thielen is out. I don't see any updates on him here, but DraftKings has him labeled as out. I'll have to check on that because I'm starting him in my other redraft leagues, and I would have liked him. Oh, it's because he's labeled as a Panther in DraftKings. They haven't updated him as a Viking. So this is something you have to look out for in DraftKings. If a player gets traded or picked up in free agency, and DraftKings doesn't, which I don't know how they haven't updated it yet. He's been on the Vikings for, I want to say, over a week. He will be playing on Monday Night Football. The Vikings play on Monday Night Football. We're not doing that here. We're doing the Sunday slate. For some reason in DraftKings, he's labeled as a Panther. So he's going to obviously not count towards any points because he's not a Panther. So if you were to add him to your lineup here, any points he accumulates is not going to happen. So I do like the Ted McMillan play. I'm thinking about the JSN play. He should get a lot of targets. That should be a competitive game. See if I can find anybody cheaper here. Looking, Egbuka could be a play. He could do well. He could be a cheap flex play. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend up twice at receiver. Brian Thomas or Neighbors. The Commander defense isn't very good in the secondary, although they've upgraded it through the offseason and the draft. Amon-Ra against that Green Bay secondary. Just looking here. Tyreek, he seems to be healthy. Doesn't have an injury designation. I might go Tyreek here. I think he has a bounce back season. And then we go Tet. We go Tet McMillan. Where did he go? He's right here. Tet McMillan. I'm going to move to our flex. And I'm going to throw Egbuka in there. Obviously, the flex gives you running backs and wide receivers. Let's see what happens if I throw Egbuka in there. What was he? 40-something hundred? Where is Egbuka? Right here at 4,600. Moving on to... or let's do defense. Let's just find the cheapest defense we got here is Tennessee. So I'm not going to start them against Denver. Giants defense could be a sneaky start. Their defensive line is one of the best in the league, with Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and they have some players in the secondary that they've added, like Javon Holland, and they still have their rookie from last year, Nubin. And that corner, they have some guys. I'm drawing a blank, but they had a good corner from last year they drafted. But the Giants defense with that front four, I know they're going against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, but it's week one. Teams can come out with some rust. Giants defense could be a good, cheap play. The Texans defense could be a cheap play. The Rams, Matthew Stafford didn't practice or do any training camp. He could come out rusty week one. The Texans defense is good with their front four of Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. They have Derek Stingley on the back end. They have a good defense. Seattle's defense could be a good play. San Francisco, with all their injuries, with no receivers, possibly McCaffrey out now, they're another nice play at 2,500. So Giants at 2,300, Texans, Seahawks at 2,500. Obviously, if you want to spend up at defense, you have 3,800 Denver. Put up against rookie Cam Ward. But like I said, I don't usually like to spend up on defense. So I think I'm going to go with the Houston 2,500. And that leaves us with 4,800 salary for our tight end. So obviously these guys here that are over 4,800 we can't add. And I think I see my tight end already. David Njoku at 4,700. Joe Flacco hyper targets the tight end. The last time we saw Njoku and Flacco together, Njoku went off. He was so good for fantasy. Tyler Warren is there as well at 4,400. We could add Tyler Warren there. He could have a good week one. We'd be filling our roster with quite a bit of rookies here. If we added Tyler Warren, we'd be saving 400 salary. Let's do it. Let's add Tyler Warren. We have 400 salary left over. So if we got rid of Tyreek, what do we look at here? We could add Amon-Ra, Neighbors. So Neighbors at 7K instead of Tyreek. He has some question marks around him. Some people are labeling him as done. I don't think he's done. He is in that age where receivers can decline a little bit. We could go with the second-year man, Neighbors, who's going to get hyper-targeted. Brian Thomas, a second-year man who should have a really good season. Like I said, I kind of want to fill this roster with just studs because it being week 1 and not really knowing what is going to happen. We could add Neighbors here. Now, if we added Neighbors, took out Ford and took out Warren and added Njoku, at running back, we would be left with guys like Ramondre, Garendo, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, which I'm okay adding a guy like Jalen Warren. He could get some dump off passes from Rodgers out of the backfield and get some points that way. Yeah, I think Jalen Warren would be my cutoff there. So let's see what the lineup looks like. We add Jalen Warren. We obviously have $200 remaining in salary. I don't feel a need to spend that. We have Kyler, James Conner, Jalen Warren, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Ted McMillan, Njoku, Egbuka, and Texans D. Now, I did talk about possibly removing Kyler Murray. So if we remove Kyler Murray, choose a different quarterback to start. Maybe Baker with the Egbuka stack. That would be fun. This could be a high-scoring matchup, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Looking at other quarterbacks here, Jordan Love could do well against the Detroit defense. CJ Stroud could have a nice day. Justin Fields could rush a bunch, but I don't like that Steeler defense. So if we did spend up a bit at quarterback and go Baker at 6,600, Baker, James Conner, Jalen Warren, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Ted McMillan, Njoku, Egbuka with Baker and the Texan defense. I think this is going to be it. I think this is going to be my lineup that I will build for week 1. After week 1, we will do a week 1 recap, recapping all the news and scores from the weekend. We will do a fantasy recap where I show my home league, my main fantasy league, how I did, how my players performed. And we will recap my DraftKings lineup that we just built here today. We'll see how well it did and if it could stack up against some of the best lineups that were built for week 1. So if you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed things like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. We're actually streaming this on Twitch right now. It'll be a YouTube upload. Make sure you follow me on Twitch. Link is always in the description if you want to build these lineups together. As the season goes on, we can build lineups with each other and kind of get everybody's opinions and hopefully build a money-making lineup. So, if you guys enjoy this, make sure that you stay tuned. We'll be doing these weekly for every main Sunday slate. But until then, enjoy the weekend of football. I will see you guys on the next one.